Big story we're breaking here on Headlines today. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh has been summoned as an accused in the 1,86,000 crore rupee coal scam. Dr. Manmohan Singh has been summoned by a special court. Dr. Manmohan Singh had held the coal portfolio at the time of this multi-crore scam, and this has huge ramifications. Dr. Manmohan Singh had been examined by the CBI that has been investigating this case in January this year. The CBI, in fact, spoke to Dr. Manmohan Singh on two different occasions, getting details of the coal scam and his alleged role. But now he's been summoned as an accused in this case. Javed Ansari, executive editor, joins us with more on this big story. Javed, this will have massive political ramifications.
Gaurav, Dr. Manmohan Singh has always maintained that whatever decision he took was in national interest and it was above board, that he has nothing to fear or hide. He, on the directions of the court, the CBI examined him twice. He's given his deposition before the CBI, and his office says that Dr. Singh is prepared. He will comply with the court's orders, and he will present himself before the court and give his side of the story. They reiterate that he has nothing to fear or nothing to hide.
Javed, initially it was seen as Dr. Manmohan Singh appearing perhaps as a witness in this case, or the opposition was all along saying that Dr. Manmohan Singh cannot escape responsibility. The blame lay at his door, and now the court saying that he is being summoned as an accused in this case, not as a witness, but as an accused in this case, and that changes the dynamics of this investigation completely.
You know, this is not the final judgment. He's been asked to appear in court. He will appear in court. This does not necessarily mean that he's guilty or otherwise. He will appear in court and give his side of the story. He will perhaps be cross-examined. There will be lawyers defending him, and he will present his case. And then the learned judges, in their wisdom, when they decide on the case, will decide on the merits of it. As far as his office is concerned, as far as Dr. Manmohan Singh is concerned, they say that he has absolutely nothing to hide, and he's willing to appear and comply with the orders, and that he will come out his squeaky clean.
Javed, all along when the BJP, when other political parties as opposition had raised the coal scam, saying that the blame lay at his door because he was the coal minister at the time when these coal blocks were allocated, he had maintained that there was a screening committee and that screening committee took all the decisions. Now his being summoned as an accused, is this indicative that since he signed off on all the decisions as Prime Minister and then coal minister, the blame lies at his door?
I mean, it would be very premature to jump to such a conclusion that just because somebody has been summoned, therefore he is guilty. The court have yet to pronounce a verdict. He's yet to present his case, his side of the story before the court. There must be documents. He will be cross-examined. He will put forth his defense, and then at the end of the day, whenever that day comes, the judges will pronounce their judgment. So therefore, to pronounce him guilty or otherwise would be very premature.
Dr. Manmohan Singh, then Prime Minister, then coal minister, of course had a screening committee. He was examined, Javed, by the CBI twice, and in January when he was examined by the CBI on two different occasions, at that point of time the BJP had said that he could not shy away from responsibility as he was the coal minister when the alleged irregularities took place in coal block allocation. Singh was questioned by the CBI in connection with this scam, and Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar was one of those who had raised these allegations initially regarding the coal scam. He said not just the Prime Minister, but it's the party that has to take responsibility, Javed.
Look, politicians make all kind of allegations, especially when they are in the opposition. They say one, they believe that they have a certain amount of liberty to make charges and get away with. But whether he will be pronounced, whether one is actually guilty, that is something that the courts have to decide. And Dr. Singh has just been asked to present himself. There's a long process. I'm sure he will put put up a defense. And like I said, he's always maintained that everything was done in an extremely transparent manner. Whatever decisions I took as the chief executive were in the interest of the nation, and therefore he has nothing to hide. He's always maintained, and even none of his opponents have either accused him of making any gains out of this.
Yes.
He says whatever decision was taken in national interest, and he's confident that he will be able to present his case and confidently argue and prove his innocence.
It's in the Patiala House Court that on the 8th of April, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, will have to present himself. The former Prime Minister has been summoned as an accused in the 1,86,000 crore rupees coal scam. Javed, what we understand is that this is in one such case. Now, what we are also being told at this point of time, and Javed, just stay on with me for a moment. I want to bring in our consulting editor, Rajdeep Sardesai, for more on this story. Rajdeep, massive political ramifications of this development?
There will be ramifications to the extent that, let's be very clear, that this was going to eventually happen at some stage, given what was said in the court earlier about summoning Dr. Manmohan Singh. That he has been summoned now as an accused is significant. That he had been questioned in the past, that his statements had been recorded is one thing. How to summon him as an accused obviously gives a different dimension to it. Dr. Singh's political career is more or less over, but it will leave a huge taint on the reputation of someone who over the years was seen as a man of integrity, but clearly in his tenure as coal minister, that was the period when these allocations were made. And therefore, if this is being seen as part of a wider conspiracy, then it was difficult to see how the CBI could avoid naming Dr. Singh as part of a wider conspiracy. Now, this does cast a shadow on him, but whether one can say the political ramifications will be much more limited, because the fact is the Congress government was voted out of power, the UPA was voted out of power precisely because of the perception that on coal allocations, large amounts of money had been made by possibly various individuals.
Yes.
Not Dr. Singh himself, but as the night watchman, as the guardian of the government, in a sense, he had to bear some kind of responsibility for what had gone wrong in the coal ministry. Let's also remember, Gaurav, that this will possibly be, and I'm happy to be corrected, only the second time when a Prime Minister has been summoned as an accused in the case. In the past, it has been in the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha bribery scandal, when the same thing happened with Narasimha Rao. Ironically, at that time, Manmohan Singh was the finance minister of the country. So it almost seems as if there is a link that Dr. Singh has between the first time a Prime Minister was summoned as an accused and now when it is happening 23 years later. But let's be clear, among those who have also been summoned is Mr. P.C. Parakh, who was then the coal secretary, who has given very detailed description of how he had wanted the auction process. Dr. Singh also has maintained that he too wanted the auction process for coal allocations. So it remains to be seen how the court and the CBI actually choose to see Dr. Singh and Mr. Parakh's role. Because there is certainly no evidence that they in any way actually got money or made money or any direct corruption taint against them. But certainly the fact is that if it's a conspiracy charge, then as collective responsibility, the Prime Minister, who was also holding coal ministry, will have to take some responsibility, Gaurav.
And this appears to have happened, Rajdeep, after the CBI examined him, because the Supreme Court in 2014 had refused to bring Dr. Manmohan Singh under the scanner in the coal scam. When a petition was made in the Supreme Court refused at that point of time. This is perhaps new evidence after examining Dr. Manmohan Singh twice in January this year that the CBI submitted to court, and court has summoned him as an accused in this case, Rajdeep.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And there is a question mark over the so-called missing files. If you might remember, that Ashwini Kumar, the then law minister, had to eventually lose his ministership because there was a sense that he had summoned the CBI director and had wanted to know exactly what direction the case was taking. And this was seen as some form of obstruction and interference in the course of justice. So clearly there will be a question mark that when the UPA was in power, was the CBI not doing enough to name Dr. Singh, to give a clear description of Dr. Singh's evidence to the apex court, and now that the UPA2 is out of power, has the CBI been given far more autonomy or elbow room to go ahead with the case? Has new evidence come out as a result of the questioning of the Prime Minister and others in this case? Because I'm sure that many of the ministers whose names will also come up, like Dasari Narayan Rao and Santosh Bagrodia, could also well say that, look, at the end of the day, the minister in charge at the time was Dr. Singh. So did Dr. Singh put his name to any files specifically is the big question. I mean, we will have
He did have a screening committee. Yes, there was a screening committee.
We will have to see exactly what were the, there was a screening committee, but at what stage did the Prime Minister directly intervene? If the Prime Minister directly intervened at some stage, then obviously that evidence will go heavily against Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh cannot claim that he had no knowledge of what was going on. That will not work in a court of law. So clearly, to that extent, if the wider investigations do show that the Prime Minister at some stage either directly intervened or had full knowledge of what was going, then that does mean that Dr. Singh is also drawn in to this entire coal scam conspiracy. And to that extent, it's a huge embarrassment for the Congress.
Yes.
Certainly, that's the political ramification that you were talking about for a Congress party, that the one Prime Minister that they had for the last decade, who was projected by the party as a symbol of probity, if today he is accused in a corruption scandal, it is a huge embarrassment for the Congress party. It pushes the Congress party even further on the back foot. So while Dr. Singh may now be in semi-retirement, for the Congress party it is being pushed even further to the margins when a case like this comes up and their former Prime Minister is seen as an accused. It only confirms that there was indeed a corruption taint in this case. And remember one last point, Gaurav, the coal auctions that the Narendra Modi government has conducted have gone off rather successfully.
Yes, 2 lakh crore plus, and in the two auctions, 3 lakh crore plus already. Rajdeep, stay on with me. GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP now joins me on this. GVL, your take on former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh being summoned as an accused in this case?
Gaurav, I think this is possibly one of the first cases which are now being tried by a CBI special court on the criminal and criminal conspiracy angle and the corruption angle. And the fact that the court has found merit in summoning the former Prime Minister as an accused in the case goes to show the extent of collusion that happened between the allottees of the coal laws and the then ruling establishment and the ruling party per se. I think this only vindicates our stand that there was a collusion and there was a massive loss of exchequer, massive loss to the exchequer caused by some kind of a conspiracy by people who were in charge of the government at that time.
But is your charge that the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was he involved in this, or was this acts of omission and not commission?
I think, you see, without the collusion right at the top, and even in terms of political leadership of the Congress party, because everyone knows Dr. Manmohan Singh, though directly he's the one who has given these final permissions or this direction in this particular case to have coal blocks allotted to a particular company. But it's known to everyone that Dr. Manmohan Singh worked on the instructions of the party and its leadership. So I think certainly the entire government and the head of the government, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and even the party, which was actually making these allocations outside the government and which was only being given effect to by the government.
Okay.
So I think in my opinion, the entire conspiracy angle needs to be probed as to who the real beneficiaries of this corruption are.
Okay.
Because as we discussed just now, merely from 30 block allocations, we have got through auction, we have got about 2 lakh crores.